when we're going to do a mission, whether it's peacekeeping or whether it's other kinds of mission, training, education. We need to know the readiness of our equipment. So we have to check to make sure, is everything working like they were engineered to work? And if they aren't, can we fix them, or do we operate it at a degraded mode? So right now we do that with all our equipment. And what I've been pushing is we ought to be doing the same thing for the humans that are going to operate the tank. Because right now the basic systems in place are we have a reporting system that soldier is either there at work or not at work. We aren't saying how well they're operating when they get at work. Are they sleep deprived? Do they have other issues that would degrade their performance? We need to have a baseline of the human, because unlike the tank, which we engineered it for operating specs, we don't have every soldier and service member is different. They operate at different levels. But the key is we don't know what that level is because we've never baselined them. Understanding cognitive operational readiness. Again, I can probably understand the physical readiness. If they show up with a broken arm, I'll know that. If they show up with a cognitive injury like sleep deprivation, TBI, PTSD, I may not have the tools, or I may not know that, and I would expect the individual to be performing that well. So that's why it's important to understand the operational readiness, not only of our equipment, but also our people. The ability to do a human assessment. First of all, we don't have a baseline. We need a baseline. That way I know how, biologically you're engineered and your specs for performing. The good news is we can enhance that performance, but we need to understand how they're operating as a baseline. Now use sleep because that's the most obvious. If I didn't get enough sleep last night, I'm not going to be cognitively as efficient as if I did get a good enough sleep. We're pretty good at measuring the physical systems. So, from how far can they jump? How fast can they run? How many push-ups? How many sit-ups? All of that aspects, because it's easily measurable. When we get into the cognitive belief systems, that's a little bit harder. But thanks to neurotechnologies that we're getting today, our ability to measure those have significantly increased. So it's critical to have a baseline, especially in the cognitive domain, so we can understand, where do they need improvement? How are they performing? Are they performing up to their capability? Are they below their capability? And humans, unlike tanks, can actually perform well above their baseline depending on that day and what neurochemicals are operating. Let's put it that way. With advances in neuroscience, we now have the capability to actually measure cognitive performance. With neuroplasticity, with training and education, we can actually enhance and increase performance. So we essentially move the baseline so that they perform at a higher level on a regular basis. But the real key will be is the big data and AIs and algorithms that once we start to collect data on humans, especially from the neurological side, we can make implications of how well they are to perform. So yeah, we might be able to get the heart rate, but what does that really mean in aspects of performance? And that's where big data and algorithms of the future will help us. NeuroTracker is a great tool that I see provides three benefits to anybody using that system. First of all, it can establish a baseline, but really going to a training and optimization piece, it allows you to move from, it gives you an initial baseline, but it allows you to do through exercises and the ability to optimize your performance. Because it basically stresses the neurons and it grows a new neural network that allows you to deal with that. Additionally, the second aspect I think NeuroTracker can help you with is a daily assessment. Once if you think of it as a training tool that they go through every day, now I've collected data, now I'm establishing norms of where they can operate. I can take them in the morning and do a quick assessment, just a quick exercise with NeuroTracker, And then I'll understand, are they operating at efficiency or are they not? Because if they can't perform as well as they normally do, then I'll understand they're not where they are level wise for the day's mission. Additionally, they could potentially operating at a higher performance, and consequently, I may be able to put, let's call it, a heavier cognitive load onto them for that day's mission, because I understand they're operating at that level. So it's a great daily readiness tool that I, as a leader, could use to say, okay, where are they, and what does that mean for the soldier that I'm going to employ that day? And lastly, and this is, I'm not sure we've mentioned it before, when you do the physical domain, people stretch the muscles to get them ready to do that. Every elite athlete stretches their muscles. I see NeuroTracker as a great cognitive stretching tool. NeuroTracker is good, especially when you use it with a physical activity, to really get that whole neural network working. So you're a lot more you're warmed up and you're ready to go, is probably the best way to explain it. The key is you've got to exercise different aspects of the brain to cause it to work functionally. So you're going to need different tools to do that. And you're going to need combinations of tools that employ all the senses, tools that work the brain in conjunction with the physical aspects. So having the right kind of tools that can stimulate those and increase them, and I'll put more cognitive weight onto them, because like with NeuroTracker, you can make it harder. They get to one level, I can add more cognitive weights and have them go further. Once I have the baseline, then I can know, can I improve? So, and using NeuroTracker as an example, if I'm good with 2 balls, and that's basically my max performance, now I understand, and NeuroTracker will be giving you better feedback on what the potential is. Now I can move up to 3 balls, and I can do it in conjunction with a physical activity or a sports activity or some kind of action activity. So the big data really helps us drive what's feasible with that individual, where he or she can go to and normalize them. So we do have some limitations in the cognitive domain and physical domain. And the big data lets us know that, so that we understand, here is the potential of this individual. Okay, now we can move on to another aspect that we need to improve. Through the assessments, it can drive which assignments I receive. So, not specifically NeuroTracker, but all of those assessment tools put together can tell me, does this person have the experience and capability to do this type of assignment or exercise or mission? And having these assessment tools that then can feed into a broader system that says, we need somebody that has this capability with this amount of experience, and the tools and big algorithm data can tell you, here's the right people for that, what you just asked for. I'd say even in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to run into 2 major issues. And I don't think technology is the issue. The issue is going to be culture and also bureaucracies. So first of all, in culture, everybody's all over the physical domain, but in many ways you will find that many leaders are not educated in the cognitive domain. The brain's like a black box. Don't go there. I don't know how it works. It's just there. But boy, I can tell how many push-ups and pull-ups that somebody can do. So I'll measure. They tend to measure what they can measure, or they think they can measure, and skip the other part. The key is we've got a culture challenge to overcome. We've also got a bureaucracy challenge, because when you have capabilities like NeuroTracker, Sergo, and so on, you have to have this thing called a requirements document that asks for it. And if you don't have that requirements document, guess what? Even if you have the technology, you can't give it to the government or sell it to the government, because they didn't ask for it. And to help the requirements process, I need the leaders with that cultural challenge to ask for it. So until we get the leaders asking for it and the requirement is writing it, we're going to be delayed. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I expect advances, but it's a bigger challenge on the other 2 parts to cause that to happen.